Gant, and this is Live Mike. So good to have you with me this morning as we have a very special guest. But before Pastor Mark Fay from Vibrant Church up in South Burlington, Vermont, before I get to him, I've got just a couple of program announcements to make, a couple of live streams that are coming up, and then one program that I don't want you to miss. The first one, I want to introduce you to my friend Tony Gutierrez, who is from Central California. I just met Tony this past month, and he's got a fascinating story. And he is actually a supervisor in a group home for teenage boys, but he has overcome some incredible things in his life. And Tony tells the story about how God put his life together and brought him peace by bringing all of the pieces together in his life. So Tony's going to be my guest Tuesday, July 24th at 8:30 p.m. That's I think that's Thursday rather than Tuesday. I just looked at my own typographic typo there. It's Thursday, July 24th at 8:30. Please join us with Tony Gutierrez. And then on Night Mike on July 31st, I'm inviting Jean Marie Davis back into the stream. She's been here a number of times. Jean Marie Davis is the executive director of Branches Family Resource Center here in Brattleboro, and she has an absolutely amazing testimony. Jean was a victim of sex trafficking for more than 20 years in her life. From a very, very young age, she was sold into sex slavery. And now there is a movie being made about Jean's life called Breaking Shadows. It's in production right now. And that's going to be coming out, we believe, sometime in early 2026, late 2025, early 2026, called Breaking Shadows. And during that live stream with Jean, I'm going to be playing the trailer that's been put together for that movie, Breaking Shadows. Then I have one more program note to make, and this is a story of a young man named Alex Giro. Alex is one of our local boys here in Brattleboro, who almost exactly a year ago today was laying in the hospital at Bay State down in Springfield, Massachusetts. He was dying. He was dying because of infections in his body because of his drug use. We were able to get Alex into a program called Teen Challenge down in Brockton, Massachusetts. And 1 year later, Alex is home. He is clean, and he is telling everybody about what God has done for him. So Alex is going to be our special guest on Sunday night, August 24th at Agape Christian Fellowship, and he's going to be sharing his testimony. So many people in Brattleboro know his story. They know the mess that he was, and they also now are seeing the deliverance that God has brought into his life. So that's at Agape Fellowship, 30 Canal Street, August 24th at 6:30 p.m. Come and hear what God can do. There are so many in our community who are looking for a way out. They're looking for a way to be delivered, and Jesus is the way. And Alex is going to be sharing about that. So join us. So this morning, I have invited my friend Mark Fay. We met a little more than a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now. He is the pastor of Vibrant Church up in South Burlington, Vermont. Had the privilege of preaching there recently. It's a great church, and it's very vibrant. Mark Fay, come into the studio. Be vibrant for us today. How are you?
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here with you.
Oh, good. We're going to have a good time today. We're so happy to have Mark with us. As I say, we actually met, I think, first of all, at, was it the first time Tommy Zito was up, or was it when you at Hunger Mountain for the Pastors Fellowship there?
Yeah, I think you guys had reached out to me and said the great things that was happening down in your church, and Tommy Zito came, and he wanted to come up to Burlington area. So, yeah, I was excited about hearing about that, and wanted to invite him in.
Good. And Tommy was with you this past May, right?
He was.
Yeah. Tommy's in Canada right now. I think he's all over the world. I have to keep up with him with a map. Excuse me. He's a live wire. For those of you who don't know, Tommy Zito is an evangelist who works around the world, not only doing the work of evangelism, but training. And I think, when we read in the scriptures, Mark, that God has given some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, pastors,
Mm-hmm.
teachers, that a lot of times we think that God gave them to the church to do that work, but what he really gave them to the church to do was equip the church to do it. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Amen to that. And he's
Amen.
doing a fine job. He's got an incredible heart.
Yeah, he does. He does. And you've had quite a response in your own church, haven't you?
We have.
Yeah, good. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself. One of the things I like to do when I introduce ministries and ministers and different things going on, I've always found that if people are interested in the person, then they'll be interested in their ministry. So tell us about Mark Fay. How long have you been the pastor there at Vibrant?
Well, I've been pastoring here for almost 4 years now. I was actually involved with prison ministry for over 20 years. I co-pastored with my father and my mother and other individuals that came in prison ministry. We got called there, and it was just an amazing time. It was an incredible time to be able to to bring the word of God into the Vermont prisons, and we saw just an amazing move of God and lives changed. And it was an honor to be able to be there. And especially some of the people that have just never even heard the gospel before. It was
so. Let me ask you a question. Were you affiliated all with the church at prison and Pete Fisk, or?
Of course, we're friends. We know them well. Yes. My father had actually been in prison ministry for near 50 years, and he's still going at 87 right now. He's still in the prisons.
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know for a while when I was younger, when I was in college. I was in school in Western Massachusetts, but every weekend I worked in a church in Rutland as a youth pastor, and I would hitchhike up. You know, back in those days, I was young and not very smart, and I would jump on Route 7 from Lenox and hitchhike up to Rutland. But I got involved in the jail ministry there in Rutland for a while, and it was exciting ministry.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're involved in prison ministry, but were you a part of the church there at Vibrant Church? I mean,
I was still, yes. I've been a member here. I've been a member at the Vibrant Church for over 35 years.
Oh, okay. So you've been there. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I was discipled through here. Actually, I came in to the church here at, I think at age 25 years old. Have been raised Catholic and love God, but I didn't understand how to follow God. And my life had really spiraled down. And really, I just came to a point in my life and said, God, if you're really real, I'm going to ask you to reveal yourself to me. And that he did. My father had been praying for me, actually. And I literally had left my body. And God himself took me down into hell, and literally Jesus himself began to speak to me, and his words are still vivid as we speak today. You know, is this what you really want? Yeah. And is this what you really want? He literally said it to me 3 times. And I remember just beginning to pray, no, this is not what I want. And got lifted out of that and got brought in. What I saw was like pure white. Is what I really saw. I had no idea what was happening. I didn't know what was going on. I just thought I was going to end up in hell. Then all of a sudden I'm in heaven. It's like, I don't know what's going on. But then a few moments later, I just came back into my body, and I was what the Bible calls born again. Everything was made new.
You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. We hear testimonies of people having a visitation like that, you know. It's not as common in the West as it is in other cultures, which are more spiritually minded, whether it's God's spirit or not. I've often said that I love preaching, and I've spent a lot of years preaching in Africa. And one of the things I love is because Africa is a spiritually, they're tuned to the spiritual things, where in the West, we're kind of tuned out to the spiritual things. And even if they worship the wrong spirit, they understand the life of the spirit. And of course, in a lot of Muslim countries today, Jesus is visiting Muslims in visions and they're converting by the multiplied tens of thousands.
Yes, I hear those stories. That's amazing.
By a personal visitation from the Lord himself. I kind of akin that to poor Saul on his way to Tarsus when he was going to persecute believers, and he got interrupted by the Lord himself.
Yes, he did.
And it kind of changed the course of his life, didn't it?
Yeah.
So you were in the church. What did you do professionally before you came into the ministry?
So I was in sales.
Okay.
I was in sales my whole life, really, and I worked for I worked for a bread company for almost 30 years, and I own my own distributor business in sales with Pepperidge Farm cookies and crackers and whatnot. But God was training me basically in the world and how to interact with people, and I was, after that experience, I was on a mission.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And so I had to calm that down a little bit and understand how to interact with people, and that experience that I did have, but it's put a fire in me that has not quit to this morning, to this day. That's why I'm so concerned about outreach in our church and what we do and how we do it to reach a world that I know is lost.
Boy, it's amazing. I look at, of course, we were chatting before we came online that our own community here is really struggling. We're struggling with the vagrancy, the homelessness, the addiction, and all of the things that go with that. Crime and it has really wounded our community. That's the only word that I can think of. We are in decline as a community. We've got a whole bunch of people that want Brattleboro to be a tourist mecca, but they don't understand that if we don't get this place on a different track, the tourists are not going to come back. I mean, we see that all the time. We see people post on social media, I went to Brattleboro, I heard it was such a great place, I'll never go back. Because of the atmosphere of the place right now. And unfortunately, we need to make some political and municipal changes, but that's not going to fix the problem. We know.
No, we just got to put Jesus back in our community, and that's what I'm focused on here.
Yeah, well, we are as well at Agape. We've got a very strong outreach ministry to the poor in a food ministry and things, but it's also an evangelistic ministry. I got a team. We got a team down in there. They're just evangelists, and they're lovers. They have they build relationships with these people, many of whom are in the situation they're in, not by any fault of their own. It's just life has happened to them, and we've been blessed to baptize many people that came in through that food pantry, and awesome. we've got two whole rows of people that come in and sit every week, and they're right off the streets. They're right, and I mean right off the streets, and they've just found a place. One of our fellows said to us, "Why is it that they come here?" And I said, "Because they know they're welcome here."
It's a healthy church. It's a healthy church.
Yeah, that's right. So. So you were in sales. You sold cookies and crackers.
I did. Yeah, I had no intention actually of being a pastor. I had no real desire. I loved God. I loved what I was doing. It was working. I was evangelizing. I could minister the gospel. But that's that's my main passion. That's my main gifting. And literally, honestly, what was happening is we had lost like 3 women in the prison to overdose, and it was really disheartening. Got an opportunity to we were ministering to the women in the prison at the time, and there wasn't a place to bring women in the state of Vermont yet for a faith-based home. And so I had an opportunity. It looked perfect. We put a lot of money into this place, and things just before we opened began to fall apart. And so I was really discouraged. It's like, okay, God, when God stopped something like that, something looked so perfect, it's hard to understand, why. And so I just, kind of went home discouraged and that night. But the next day, I had another experience with God. And something that I've never expected. He just came to me and he just said, I want you to succeed. Who is your current pastor at the time? Will you do it? Well, he already knew I already felt like Moses. I didn't have the ability to pastor a church.
Right.
So I just said, okay. And then he had left, but it was as clear as we're talking right now. So I was on a mission at that point in time to finish my ministerial papers. I did everything I possibly could. The door really wasn't opening at the time to come in. So I wasn't sure what to do. So I stayed in the prison system while training and while finishing my ordination papers to the Assemblies of God. And then COVID had hit. Yeah. And I said, okay, where to next, God? And so the Lord did send me down to Cambridge, Vermont. Literally, as I'm driving down there, I'm trying to figure out why. And I looked up and it says training grounds. So it was just another confirmation that I'm on the right track anyway. And lo and behold, a year and a half later, and I told them in Cambridge that I knew I was coming back to Vibrant. I wanted to be absolutely open and honest with them.
Right.
But if I can come down and bring hope and healing inside this church body, which had been really decimated, I said, I'll do it, but I know I'm going back and I just don't know when. And sure enough, it did happen. Honestly, it probably out of 34 applicants, I was probably the least qualified on paper anyway. And but long story short, I did end up, of course, getting the job because I knew it was going to happen at Vibrant Church as pastor.
So you had an inside track on the thing.
Yeah, it was really not taking much faith on my part. I knew it was going to happen. So.
Well, I think it's interesting you use that phrase. Out of all of the people who applied, you were considered to be the least qualified, and that's who God. Isn't that amazing? And isn't that so much like God? I mean, I've often said, and I've heard other people say, did you ever take a good look at the guys Jesus called to walk with him?
Yeah,
they weren't a particularly qualified bunch, but I actually shared with our men's group. I don't know, a week or so ago that the statement Jesus made when he came out of the wilderness after he was in the wilderness, he announced the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And then the very next thing he did was he walked down by the seashore and he saw Peter and Andrew and James and John. Those were the first four he made contact with. And he said to them, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. He did not call them because they were qualified. He intended fully to qualify them. And I think that's we are qualified by the call of God.
Yeah. And that should encourage anybody out there right now that's just feeling that they're not qualified, they're not good enough, or they don't have anything to offer. You only need to say yes to Jesus, and wherever he's at, wherever you're at with him in your life. And
well, he will be great for you. Yeah, if he calls you, he's going to equip you.
That's right.
That is the truth. I think, I read that, I've been in the ministry now more than 50 years. And it was only recently, I was actually doing a series of messages on the book of Matthew. And I read that passage and it was like those words just leaped off the page at me. Jesus said, you come with me and I will make you into something you are not.
That's correct.
And so you look at, we look at so many men in the Bible that do, I look at Daniel. Here was a guy who was supremely qualified and God used him. And then I look at other people and my daughter says he's factored in your stupidity. Thank you, Robin, very much. My daughter, the prophetess, she speaks prophetically. But there were so many men. Peter, probably one of the least qualified guys you could imagine to change the world. Or Saul. Saul of Tarsus, who at least spiritually was unqualified by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
And yet God used him. And Jesus said, I will make you into something you're not. And that's a powerful statement.
That is a powerful statement.
Powerful statement. So now you've been at Vibrant for about 4 years.
Yeah.
I know that you got involved when we brought Tommy Zito to Vermont, and apparently the time that Tommy spent with Vibrant Church had a real impact, because you have a real significant evangelistic outreach going on right now. What does that look like?
We do. If I could just first say, our number one priority here was, when I first walked in here, was going to be prayer. It's going to be praying and fasting, as God's called me to on a weekly basis. That's going to be in the forefront, of God wanting to do any kind of movement in this body or in our lives, right? It's going to start there. And so I can't impress that enough. That is our main thrust of Vibrant Church. It's going to be, and people get involved in it. And twice a week we pray corporately with the body, every opportunity that they can come in. I know there's power in prayer. I learned it through my entire life, through my entire ministry. It's not about us. It's not about me. It is about finding God's will. And so that's going to be number one, in order to get that heart for evangelism. It's not just going to come from us. It's going to come from God. Right. And when I first came into this church, I'm walking the halls and I said, okay, God, what do you want to do? What can you lead us? How do we break into this community? That's going to be our number one heart, our number one focus is you, Lord, lead us, and there's many different ministries that we do right now. One was instantly, he called us to bring a preschool here in this community, where that can make a major impact inside of our community here. And we're hoping to open that this fall coming. We're working with the staffing right now that we've been preparing the building. It's been a long haul. And we have some setbacks, but we're really hoping to open this fall and to get into, meet that need. We know with schools and whatnot, what's been going on, what's been being taught, the culture, even the non-believing culture is rejecting it. And so we want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, right? We just want to complain about our government. We want to do something about it. So I know a lot of churches out there can do something about it. They can make an impact. And that's where God has really called me. I said, we have a building here that goes unused all week long. I want to use it, for the kingdom of God. So stuff like that has come about. Other things as well as we reach out. But one thing that Tommy Zito has come in, and his heart is to train the church for really what their purpose is to present the gospel of Jesus Christ in a very a non-confrontational way, where there's a world out there that is just hungry. I'm out there every week myself on the streets, and I can tell you, even this last weekend, not one person turned me down to talk with them. There's a hungry world to be, not number one, to be loved. And that's how he begins to present and trains these people, us, the church, how to go out in the world and just present the gospel in a very non-confrontational way. Just simply put, we're just out here to let you know that how much God loves you and has a purpose for your life. And basically just present the gospel in that way. Do you know for certain if you were to die today, you go to heaven? And of course, they'll just, I hope I go, right? I hope. I hope so. Good enough. Right. I didn't do this or didn't do that, so then maybe I'll qualify. And we just present the gospel, of course. Bible states that we're all sin, and the heaven's a free gift, and whosoever calls on the name of the Lord. And they're usually, many times, their eyes are just wide open. And just lead them right through the sinner's prayer. They make a decision for them right there. And it's just exciting out there. And a lot of people have gravitated towards that. And we've had since Tommy Zito's been here, we've had over 300 decisions for Christ just out in the streets alone, minus what's going on in the church. Right. But most importantly, the people are getting trained. And they're catching on fire. They're seeing it happen, and they're seeing the results, and they're seeing that. I've seen so many people say, well, it's not my gift. Well, not your gift. It's our call to be able to present the gospel and to tell people why we believe what we believe.
Yeah.
and it's really, really simple way to do it. And we train people every week. If you want to come in from an outside church and train with us, and whoever you're leading to the Lord, I want you to bring them to their church. This is not a vibrant church thing, but I really, really foresee this catching fire within all the churches. So the main purpose is to not just go out in the streets, but to be equipped, as we all should be. And that's exactly what Tommy Zito is trying to do. That's his heart. He's stepping out by faith. He doesn't have security coming to Vermont, and lots of people not showing up. He doesn't have that security in many places that he goes. He's just doing it because he's called, and he's been faithful, and he is loves God. He's an incredible evangelist and fires up the church.
Right.
But most importantly, he is equipping the church. Many people who say, I don't have that gifting, find out as they come in, some of them are literally shaken. They just can barely stand. That's how nervous and fearful the devil has put on God's church, and it's just not coming from him. And they fight against it and fight against it and fight against it, but only to see some of these people. What's so fun to watch is the ones that say, that's not my gift and I can't do it and can barely walk, and literally come into these literally divine appointments as they're out there. They're just absolutely blown away that it's not just them going out doing something, it's God actually behind it.
I think one of the things, Mark, and maybe you can talk about this a little bit, is that so many people think that they say it's not my gift, it's not my ability, as if the work of evangelism depends on them. And what people have to understand is it's not the man, it's the message. It's the most ill-equipped, and I remember Tommy telling a story about him taking a young fellow out who was challenged.
Yes.
He was challenged emotionally, even intellectually. He was challenged, but he wanted to go. Mm-hmm. Tommy took him with it, and he had the little script, and he read it, and he messed it all up, and he was just brokenhearted. He didn't do it right, and yet was able to lead people to Christ. Mm-hmm. And because we think it's about us, and I could never do that. Well, no, you can't. That's the whole point, is that we have to. It's a partnership between us and God, and we have to be willing to go. But He says, "I'll go with you." And if we can get that consciousness that Jesus says, I'm with you. I won't leave you. I will do the work if you will make the commitment. Yeah. And there's so much that we forget.
There is such a hungry. What we think as a church is they don't want what we have. Well, what are you telling them?
What is it you're suggesting we have?
Yeah, exactly. The church can get into that mode and telling what the world what they shouldn't be doing, rather than just presenting a gospel, how much God does care about them. Mm-hmm. And so as we do that, the world is so hungry out there, and they're so thirsty for truth. Yeah, that's what they don't reject. They reject anything that's not truth. Yeah.
Well, when you've been eating dust for a long time, something that's real tastes pretty good. It does. Yeah. And there is hunger. One of the things that I saw one time, when Jesus was teaching and the crowds came after him, and they pressed in so much that he had to get in a boat and push off the shore. Remember that story? Push off from the shore a little bit. Yeah. I look at that and I go, the devil says the world doesn't want what you've got. They don't want to hear it. They'll get mad. They'll reject you. They'll be violent towards you. They don't want to hear it. That's a lie from hell. Sure. Hungry souls are looking for truth. They're looking for something they can get their heart around and their mind around. So
they're not necessarily interested in our church or pushing them into church. They're interested in hearing the message. And coming alongside them, and rather than pushing them in church, we try to just take them out to lunch, and just have a conversation and, begin to build a trust relationship, something the world needs something authentic. And so, we're trying to still figure that piece ourselves.
Yeah.
And I do know they're responding in a real positive way towards Christ. They have no problems confessing out loud Christ. And so it's amazing to watch. And it's at minimum, it's seeds being dropped into their lives, and right. Who reaps the harvest? I don't know. And quite frankly, I don't care. Right. They can go to other churches. Great. I say fill them all up. My desire is all the way back from when I got converted, is that each and every person comes to know Christ and eternal life. Oh.
When we saw that during the crusade, the outreach we had here with Tommy, we had over 300 people made decisions for Christ in 5 days.
That's amazing.
But a lot of them, the frustrating part for our folks, a lot of them were street people. They were addicts. They were sitting down on the cement, and people went and sat down on a bench with them or sat down on the street. They didn't have a phone number. They didn't have an address. They didn't have any way to contact. They didn't all show up for church on Sunday morning. And people were like, oh, man, I thought we really – and I shared with our folks later. I said, look, all you're called to do is deliver the mail.
Absolutely.
You're just a postman, so to speak, with a message. You're not required. You can't save them.
You can't make it grow.
You can't change them. All you can do is present the truth to them. The sower went forth to sow. That's what the scriptures say. He didn't, in that point, he didn't go forth to reap. He went forth to sow seed.
That's right.
Somebody else might water, somebody else might weed, somebody else might reap the harvest. But it's all about the kingdom. It's not about building our church.
It really is. I mean, you have to keep that mindset.
Yeah. Well, I think that sometimes, Mark, we're so focused on results that we if something doesn't show immediate results, we get a sense of failure. And once that seed is planted, it's really out of your hands.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? Once that seed is planted, it's out of your hands. Just nothing you can control about it.
No, we can just offer them a lifeline that they can, we have discipleship programs. We have one-on-one discipleship programs as well. And so there's a lot that we can try to, let them, tell them that we can offer them. Of course, coming into church or, just check it out online. We can give them all the tools we possibly can, but God's going to have to bring the growth at that point.
Right. How do you? Let me ask you a question. Now you've been at Vibrant Church for a long time. I go back years and years and years before it was called Vibrant Church. I think the pastor's name was Dave Siriano. Did you ever know David?
I know of him. Yes, I do. I did know him. Yes, I wasn't here under his leadership, but I did get to know him later on. He's passed a couple of years ago, I think.
I think he was down in Quincy area or something there for a number of years. He's a good man, great leader there. I really like David a lot. But what have you seen? I mean, you go, well, what was it? Community Bible Church? Wasn't that the original name? And now it's Vibrant Church. You're in a different location now, I believe, than it was years ago. How has the church developed into what it is today? Can you describe that? Because I'm a great proponent of the church cannot remain stagnant. We can't remain stationary. We can't find something that works and expect it's going to work for all generations. There's got to be growth, even organizationally. How has the church in the 25 or 30 years you've been there? What have you seen happen?
Well, I've seen a lot happen.
I'm sure
there was quite a move throughout the world, actually. It started in Toronto, Canada, as well down Pensacola, Florida. You probably know, or as a move of God that did come here. That many of the churches did experience in that, including myself. But it unfortunately it didn't turn into fruit. It turned into more of an experience for the church, and it never changed. I don't think the church's attitude in their real call is to serve, is to love God, love people, right?
Right.
That was Jesus's motto. That's what I'm going to go by.
Yeah, right.
If we get other centered, if we say self-centered, we're not really fulfilling that mission. And so it kind of turned out to be about them, and unfortunately, and I don't want to say that in a negative, I hate to say that in a negative manner, but it just didn't turn into fruit. I'm going to say that. And that's how I actually got into prison ministry. My desire was for that. I wasn't seeing that. And so I just basically was convicted myself, then just go do it. And so that's when I got into prison ministry at that point in time, probably in early 2000 or late 90s, and got involved in the prison ministry. And, since then, the churches did change a little more towards the user-friendly type churches. But now I think there's a real hunger within many churches in the state of Vermont, I think, to see an authentic, real move, revival of God, just a hunger for some authenticity. And what I think we see going on right now is a desire to see God move. And I do see a lot of prayer throughout our state, a lot of desire to see God's move. And so for me and for us and for what I'm called to, I should say, is just to continue to reach into our community. And I try to reach out to fellow pastors and different programs. I can tell you what we have going on for next year. But for me, it's like for us, it's we're going to have a baptisms, and I put that out publicly. If you've never been water baptized, come on in. Let me know about it. If you decided to follow Jesus, or if you want to follow Jesus, you can get water baptized. In the weeks to come, next month, we do a full family fun day here. We invite the entire community out. Everything is free. We have a free barbecue. We have bounce houses. We have water slides. Everything's free for the entire community. So I just want to bring something authentic into our community. We also got to be reaching into our schools next door. Give them, they call us the Vibrant Angels, and we give them the teachers that are there a tremendous amount of stuff that they might have to pay for through the year, where pencils, goldfish, paper, all kinds of stuff, literally thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff, that the teachers have to spend. So we try to break that wall down between the church and school, and so in different ways. We have a lot of multicultural, diverse congregation here. So we reach out.
I saw that when I was up there.
And I love it. I really, really love it. We have a multicultural Friendsgiving here. We invite anybody from different cultures to come on in and join us for that in October. And of course, we have a big Aspire event. It's called not Aspire Now, although Aspire Now will be here as well. We're hosting that. I saw that gal that you had coming on. I believe is she with part of Aspire Now group?
Well, she's connected to them. All of the pregnancy centers around the state are connected, and Jean's kind of the lightning rod for everybody.
Yeah, she's an amazing speaker. So be sure if you have listeners here to listen to her. She's amazing. We had her here last year.
Right.
And she's a great woman of God, loves God, and just amazing woman. Overcomer.
She is. Let me just slow you down for a second, because you mentioned a couple of events, the Toronto and Pensacola and all of that thing. One of the things that has often concerned me is there are moves of God, and then there's revival, and they're not the same thing. No. You can have a regional or a local move of God, but that doesn't necessarily translate into revival. And movements are sort of time constraint. A good friend of mine said this. He said, a move of God will strengthen a church. A revival transforms a nation.
I love it.
If we're praying for revival, we need to be praying for something beyond a lot of people coming to our church. I heard you say that. I heard you very clearly. I don't care where they go to church. A lot of times I kid. I'm from the South, and I tell people I know all about revival. We had revival the first week in May every year.
Yeah.
We advertised it, we promoted it, we printed posters ahead of time, we invited speakers, and he came and spoke for a week, and some people got saved, and we called that revival. And it's kind of a package deal. We do it the same time every year. It looks the same, it sounds the same, and nothing ever changes. It's just and that's not revival. If you study the great revivals of history, they changed the course of nations.
Yeah, it was amazing.
The Great Awakenings here, the huge revival, the Hebrides, the Welsh revival, all of those things, the Waldensians, they changed nations.
They changed the culture,
the course of nations. I remember one story from the Welsh revival, and the Welsh were great coal miners. And as this move of God swept through the people there, they had to close the mines down for a period of time, because the mules that drew the carts out of the mines could no longer understand the language of the miners, because they were so transformed.
Wow.
And their language changed, and the mules didn't know what to do. And when I pray, I'll be honest with you, I'm not praying for a move of God. I'm like you. I've seen too many come and go, and everybody gets all excited. But you said the magic word, Mark Fay. We saw this. It was exciting. Everybody got thrilled, but there was no fruit. Early on this year, as my son, who's our pastor now, was praying, he announced, he shared a message with the church on the first Sunday of the year. God is saying to me this year, our word for this year is be fruitful. Be fruitful. And isn't that the evidence of the presence of God?
Yeah.
Isn't that the evidence of the moving of God? Is there is fruit born. If you abide in me, I will abide in you, and you will bear much fruit. Yeah. And so that's kind of the thing we're working on this year. I've been involved somewhat now over the last couple of years with the pastors event that meets at Hunger Mountain in Waterbury. I'm excited about that, because I see a unity of the church coming together where it's more than about my program and about my thing.
Yeah.
And we've got to start seeing fruit, not just exciting. I say all the time, we're all about meetings in the church.
Yeah.
We want to go to meetings, and we've got meeting junkies. They just run from meeting to meeting to meeting, and event to event to event. And there's not real fruit. America is still losing churches and pastors and people faster than any place in the world. People say, well, look at this church and that church, but the church in America is not growing. It's dying.
Yeah.
And we need to see revival.
Yeah.
And revival will change the course of the nation more than any political party or more than any election. Revival will change the nation.
No, agreed. I have a guy who by the name of Hank Irwin who called me, I don't know, a month and a half ago or so. He's going to be, his sons are producers of a lot of the Christian movies we see, of I Can Only Imagine, Jesus Revolution, The House of David. And he was a two-term two-term senator in Alabama. Right. And he's trying to start a movement next year. Next year's America's 250th anniversary. He just reached out to me, said, hey, Mark, would you help me do this in the state of Vermont? We're going to be having, that's exactly what we're going to do. We want to have simultaneously a prayer meeting. That's going to be March 1st. And then 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, we're going to have different meetings for men, for youth, for family. We want to do it simultaneously throughout the whole entire country, all at the same time. Would you help me out with that with Vermont? I said, absolutely. Wow. I want to reach out. Yeah. So, he's calling certain churches. So he wants somebody from a representative from every state. I know he's got well over 30 now of states representative. He actually did the same type of movement before the election last year. He has churches praying. And so now this group is called Gap gap/event.org. And if you want to go online and take a look at that, they're amazing men who really have the heart of God. They want to see transformation. They want to see our culture change. And they're just trying to plan this event and how we do it in Vermont. I'm still praying about that. I'm reaching out to area pastors. I'm even across the whole entire state. Maybe we could do it in different areas in the state. I know everyone can't come to one area. Not sure where that's going to go yet, but I'm praying. We do want to be part of that. I know some of the area church pastors here in my area want to get involved. So that's exciting. So we've been looking for that March 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th through the entire country, so people can get involved. If you're not from Vermont right now, find one in your state to get involved in that. They're trying to influence the culture. They'll be taking videos of things. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it all, but I know his sons are producers, and they may want to do some sort of documentary about Christianity in our country. So I'm excited about that.
Let me imagine this. His vision is to have the church in 50 states.
Yes.
Praying for the nation.
That's correct.
Simultaneously.
Yes.
Boy, the halls of heaven are going to ring with that.
No, I told him I'm all in.
Well, if you think about it, Mark, there's so little that, and this is a particular soapbox of mine, there's so little that we as the church do together as a team. So often we look more like competitors than partners.
I know it.
And we compare rather than compliment. We're just, boy, he's got more guys than he's got more people than I do. He's got a better program than I do. Who cares about that stuff? Jesus did not announce the formation of the church. He announced the inauguration of the kingdom. And the church is an instrument that God will use. It's his bride, but he will use the church, as we talk about the organized church, to expand the kingdom. And we're too church-minded. I remind people all the time, Jesus did not call us to build the church. He said, matter of fact, he said, that's my job. He said, I'll build the church.
Yeah.
You win the lost. You reach out. You transform the culture.
You do. Right?
What a partnership.
Love people. Yeah. I mean, so we just, even my wife and I, we invite people, we're discipling them right at our house.
Right.
One-on-one, whatever, and it is loving people one person at a time. That is our mission here at Vibrant Church, and so, and we want to stick by that is look at the individual, and we'll take the time out, and we should all be able to take, and I'm trying to get the whole entire congregation to get involved in one particular discipleship program that we have here. You can get involved in somebody else's life, and engage that. I have an amazing congregation here. People walk in here, they feel loved by our congregation, and many people are jumping on board with this. And so we have a discipleship program where they'll take, a new believer one-on-one, sit down with them in their home. Yeah. And it's really authentic, and that's what the world is looking for. They're looking for something authentic. Yeah. So I want to encourage.
It's interesting. I mentioned before, I grew up in the South, but one of the things I remember about my church as a young person, I became a Christian around age 14, grew up in the church there. But one of the things I remember about our church, and I tell people all the time, if you were a visitor, you did not go home that day without being invited to somebody's house for lunch.
That's awesome.
Dinner. I mean, you couldn't get out of there without somebody, and they might say, well, all we got is pinto beans and cornbread, but you can come and share it with us. That was such that is so locked into my mind. The other thing that I am so cognizant of as I was growing up was that Sunday was the Lord's day. It wasn't, I didn't give the Lord an hour out of my day. It was the Lord's day. And back then we had a Sunday morning service, we had a Sunday evening service, And usually after the Sunday evening service, the whole church took over Shoney's, and they had to drive us out at night because we wanted to be together.
Oh,
We wanted to spend time together. We didn't want to necessarily get in and get out and get to our own thing. I think in a way that's been lost to the body of Christ over the years. This culture has changed, that we don't have that sense of, if you go back to Acts, the book of Acts, particularly chapter 4, it's like those people were together all the time. They did. Matter of fact, our Family Resource Center branches here in Brattleboro, we have a logo on the wall as you go in, and it says, "We do life together." If you want to know what people in the world are looking for, they're really looking for somebody who will do life with them.
You're absolutely,
and that's what you're developing there. Is you're saying to let's engage in someone's life on a personal level. It's more than trying to. I remember the lady one time that said to me, "I wish I could get my husband to come to church so he can get saved." And I remember I said to her, I said, "Honey, if he's not seeing it home, he's not going to find it here at church."
Those are some real hard. They might seem hard words, but it is truth.
It is, because it's, as people see the power of the gospel working in your life, they will be drawn to that. They're not necessarily going to be drawn to your church program, or if they are drawn to your church program, that's not necessarily going to change their lives.
You're right. Yeah, I kind of preached on last weekend being reconcilers. That should be our entire attitude in our daily walk.
To reconcile men to Christ, not to the church, not to the preacher, not to the music.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. In our attitudes.
Amen. Well, I think so many people today, and this is probably a weakness of the Western church, people are sometimes they get saved to the church. I like this church. It's a warm feeling here. I like the people. It's friendly and everything. Yeah. And they never get brought to that place to where they enter into an intimate relationship with Christ. Or these days, a lot of people are saved to the music, because we got top drawer worship bands and the music is good. It's as good as anything you hear in the world. And people get saved to the music. I like the music here, but they never quite get into that relationship with Christ. Yeah. I had a young man walk up the stairs to our church a few months ago now. Don't remember ever laying eyes on him before, but he introduced himself and he said, my dad. And he told me who his dad was, and I was close friends with his dad. And I realized then this was a guy who had really been taken captive by the world. And he looked me in the eye with tears in his eyes, and he said, "I was coming up the street and I saw the church, and I remembered that my dad used to come here. I need Jesus."
Oh, that's cool.
I need Jesus. Last night we were leaving our men's group. He put his arm around me and he says, he knows we've got family camp coming up. He said, "As soon as family camp come over, would you sit down with me and my fiance? We need to get married. They've been living together for some time now." He says, "We need to get married. And so would you do premarital counseling with us?" And to me, boy, that's what church is all about, friends. It's not the meetings. It's the encounters. It's the connections. It's doing life together. It's doing life together. So your folks are training. They're going out on the streets of Burlington. They're introducing people to Jesus. I tell people, I was up there just a few weeks ago, Father's Day, I think it was, and Vibrant Church is vibrant. It's a vibrant church.
You got some people that really love God here.
Oh yeah, you could see that. I was up there once when Tommy was up there, and then came back on Father's Day to preach, and was very blessed. But it was a blessing to see that it's more than lights and fog machines and presentation. There's a vitality of life there that's exciting. I met some cool people, Mark, at your church.
Well, they thought you were pretty cool. They loved your word you brought for the men, and it was
Yeah.
an amazing word. So if anybody here that needs somebody to speak to their men,
Yeah. Well,
get Pastor
that's
Mike.
yeah. Well, I'm actually working with a group of guys down here for the fall. We're going to do a men's outreach similar to
Oh,
the one
awesome.
we did in Waterbury back in March. My heart is for men. I believe
Yeah,
this
that's
with all of
obvious.
my heart. If we have kids ministries, we're going to win kids, and we have women's ministries, we're going to win women. We have men's ministries, we're going to win the whole family.
That's right.
I believe it with
Well
all my
said.
heart. I follow that idea, and it was good. It was good to see men engaged in the ministry. So many churches, the men sit on the back row and don't really get involved. But it was good to see men. Talking about your multicultural, I got to meet people from Kenya,
Oh yeah.
and I have history with Kenya, and I met a lovely Oriental fellow there. We engaged in a long conversation,
Yeah.
and but it's a
Yeah,
vibrant
no,
ministry.
they're just, I love these people here. They're just some amazing people from every walk of life you can imagine. And I'm just excited. I'm excited about the youth that are coming in here right now, especially the young men. And right now, maybe ages between maybe 13 and 25. There's a big movement of that, and they're here, they're hungry, and I'm wanting to really get them discipled here. But I see that coming. Of course, nationwide, probably in your church too, and many different churches is happening.
Well, listen, we've got about 3 or 4 minutes left. Let's rest on that right now. I think because we're doing the same thing. We have been blessed in the last couple of 3 or 4 years, a real crop of young men between 14, 15 up into their 20s, young married couples, and we have leaped on that. That's the next generation.
Yes, it is.
If they don't pick up the mantle, the church dies. I deal with a lot of churches up and down the East Coast, and one of the things that I'm seeing is that we have churches, they call themselves a church, but what they really are is a glorified funeral home. And they're just waiting for the last funeral before they lock the doors. And it's because we've not been faithful. Paul said in 2 Timothy, it's been one of the verses that has guided my life. He said, 2 Timothy 2:2, he said, the things you have seen and heard from me, confirmed by many witnesses, you also commit to faithful men who will be able to teach also. He's saying that the gospel dies if we don't leave a spiritual legacy.
Yeah. And
that's why I'm so into men's ministry, is because it's all about legacy. It's about leadership and legacy.
Yeah.
And we see, we've got a group of 4 or 5 young men that we're giving them once a month to preach. We're doing a Sunday night service. We're saying, we don't care how bad it is. You've got a heart for God. Develop a message. We'll work with you. We'll walk you through it. We want you to start preaching. We're putting them on deacons boards. They're running youth programs. And
that's great.
Our whole video ministry, we live stream our service every Sunday. I know you do as well. It's all young people between the ages of 18 and 23, 24, 15. Wow. We've got a 15-year-old working on it. And they're owning this ministry.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Right? And so you're seeing these young people come in, and boy, they will own the ministry if you'll let them. If you'll make them sense that you're not just a kid showing up here, you're the next generation of the church.
That's
and
great.
We're going to prepare you for it now. And of course, I'm a big proponent of saying to pastors, you should have your eye on the guy who's going to succeed you right now. You should
Amen to that.
Talking with him,
I'm with you on that one.
And it's exciting when you. I know Pastor Brian said on Sunday morning we had a couple of kids who were getting really, really active, during worship service, and Mom was getting all antsy, and Brian said, to the moms, he said to the congregation, listen, don't ever be put off by the sound of life. Oh. If you hear kids running around, fussing a little bit,
that's a good problem.
Running out into the aisle. We've got one who'll run right up on the pulpit and try to get to one of the guitar players. But I'd rather have that than a bunch of old folks waiting to die.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I spent some time with the church recently, and I said to them, right now, you've got to get young again.
Yeah.
Because right now you're just a funeral home. You're waiting on the last funeral. And so
word.
when you see a church filled with young adults, older teens and young adults, you're seeing a church that's going to survive.
Amen.
Yeah, you're seeing a church. Well, Mark Fay, thank you very much for joining me today. We have exceeded and even over-exceeded our time limit a little bit. But as I say to people, it's my dime. We'll go as long as we want to. But I know you've got a busy day. I thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
All of the folks who have looked in, I've noticed a bunch of people watching, and people will be watching it all week. I'll remind folks this streams to YouTube and X as well.
Yeah.
And Facebook will delete this thing after 3 or 4 weeks, but it'll be up on YouTube forever, I guess, or until YouTube gets mad at me. Leo Benjamin, it's good to see you in here with My Faith News. We see a bunch of other people that I don't know, so they must be your folks. But Mark Fay, thank you very, very much. God bless
Thank you.
I'll talk to you again soon.
All right, my best to you and your ministry.
Yeah. All right, yeah, bye-bye. Yeah. Well, folks, that was Mark Fay, pastor at Vibrant Church in South Burlington, Vermont. So happy to have him in here and talking about what's going on with his ministry there in South Burlington. It's an exciting ministry, and I believe God is going to do great things through this ministry. Remember to join me on Thursday night with Tony Gutierrez. I put it on Tuesday night on the flyer. I'm not going to put it back up because I got to go fix it. And then on the 31st with Jean Marie Davis from Branches Family Resource Center. And then join us on the 24th of August as Alex Giro shares his testimony. This is Mike Gant. This is Live Mike. God bless you. I'll see you on the next time.